Trump sends feds to Broward County, finds nasty secret Snipes tried to hide. With the recount efforts in Florida ongoing, a new scandal seems to surface out of Broward County on a daily basis. Today is no different. President Donald Trump sent federal prosecutors to the Sunshine State to oversee the recount process, and they have now uncovered what Brenda Snipes, the Broward County Supervisor of Elections, tried to hide. The midterm election results in the state of Florida have been hotly contested, with both the races for U.S. Senate and the governorship so close the Florida Secretary of State ordered a mandatory recount. Currently, Republican Ron DeSantis is the assumed winner of the Florida governorship, beating out Democrat Andrew Gillum, while current Governor Rick Scott has, at this time, beaten incumbent Senator Bill Nelson. Cyberthreat: real answers to real problems. How to make money and become wealthy, never focus on get rich quick. 7 billionaires and their cars that will surprise you. While it's looking good for the Republicans, the Democrats seem to be pulling out all the stops in order to steal the election, especially in Broward County. Not only were boxes of provisional ballots found in the back of an Avis rental car that was returned by a Democrat who campaigned for Gillum, but the misleading design of the ballot in Broward has been called into question thanks to a concerning rate of undervoting in the highly publicized Senate race. Now, federal prosecutors have discovered something perhaps even more concerning: altered election documents tied to Florida Democrats. The Florida Department of State last week asked federal prosecutors to investigate dates that were changed on official state election documents, the first voting irregularities it has flagged in the wake of the 2018 elections. The concerns, which the department says can be tied to the Florida Democratic Party, center around date changes on forms used to fix vote-by-mail ballots sent with incorrect or missing information. Known as cure affidavits, those documents used to fix mail ballots were due no later than 5 p.m. on November 5, the day before the election. But affidavits released on Tuesday by the DOS show that documents from 4 different counties said the ballots could be returned by 5 p.m. on Thursday, which is not accurate. Among those counties is Broward, which emerged as the epicenter of controversy as 3 statewide races and 3 local legislative races went into recounts following the November 6 elections. Republicans have pointed to embattled Broward elections chief Brenda Snipes' record of past election gaffes in arguing that the largely Democratic country is tilted against them, perhaps fraudulently so. Last year, Snipes was caught literally destroying ballots in order to rig local elections for the Democrats, so don't think for one second that altering ballots is beneath her. That alarming instance of fraud inspired 3 lawsuits, but somehow, Snipes ultimately kept her job. However, it does not appear that that will be the case this time around. Cyberthreat: real answers to real problems. Wheel of Fortune to give away a $350,000 house as a prize. 7 billionaires and their cars that will surprise you. She's losing support from fellow Democrats and faces the increasing likelihood of an embarrassing suspension from office at the hands of either Governor Rick Scott or his likely successor, Ron DeSantis. Suspending Snipes from office would put a final exclamation point on one of the most contested midterms in recent Florida history, which has resulted in 3 statewide recounts for U.S. Senate, Governor and Agriculture Commissioner, as well as recounts in 3 local legislative races. Source: Politico. President Donald Trump believes that Brenda Snipes is a disgrace and should be fired. She's a disaster, Trump said during an interview with the Daily Caller. You look at her past, she's a disaster. When they call this woman incompetent, they're wrong. She's very competent, but in a bad way. When asked if Snipes should be removed from office, Trump responded, "Oh, she should have been removed. I think she should have been removed in the middle of this mix-up." Trump said they should have called Florida during the evening of the election. Well, many votes were added to that, and you know what's going on. And now they have mixed them up. They mixed the votes up and now you can't find the ones that were put in, they just put them into a batch. Cyberthreat: real answers to real problems. Find out more. Greater than. Brenda Snipes needs to be held accountable for her utter incompetence and outright willingness to tamper with votes. She should have already been removed from her position. If she were a Republican, she would have never been allowed to continually get away with this fraud.